This evening, I told you about the TORUS project with teams of researchers on the ground and in the air teaming up together to learn more about why some storms produce tornadoes and others do not. In a story you'll only see on KSNT, we were the first media outlet in the country allowed to ride along with the hurricane hunters' flights to the heart of the storms as a part of this project, where you'll get a front row seat at what researchers are doing. Stationed in Salina during this project, the hurricane hunters are a branch of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. We met up with them on Friday for our briefing, and then it was time to head out. I made my way to the plane along with the numerous researchers that filled the fuselage of the P-3 aircraft. A smooth takeoff, and we were on our way west to Nebraska, where we targeted the city of McCook. Upon arrival, we had extra time before storms moved into that area, so we made a jaunt north to sample some storms and do some practice runs around thunderstorms that had fired up early in the northern part of the state. Shortly later, the ground crews in McCook and the hurricane hunters had pinpointed today's target storm. It had developed near Goodland, Kansas, and was headed straight toward McCook, Nebraska. With ground crews sampling the storm from below, our job was to gather as many close-range radar sweeps of the storm as we could. 3 on-aircraft radar sources were used to not only keep us a close but safe distance from the storms, but also to essentially record the evolution of the supercell from the time it moved into our airspace throughout its life cycle. As the pilots worked to keep the aircraft as smooth as they could and to make the tight turns necessary to keep the storm in radar range as we passed back and forth, the storm ramped up in intensity and began to produce a tornado. While difficult to see from our height at times, we did get glimpses of the tornado while it was just outside McCook. Clouds started lowering and then obscured our view, but several more radar scans helped to gather what we were really there to do. Well, a record-setting day in a lot of ways. We passed back and forth in front of the thunderstorm with the radar passes more times than they've ever been able to do before. We saw the tornado on the ground just outside of McCook, Nebraska, but my flight's coming to an end. The TORUS project not coming to an end just yet. It goes on through June across the plains, and then all of the research will be going on after that, and hopefully we'll learn a lot about why tornadoes form and why sometimes they just don't form. Reporting from high above the sky in southern Nebraska alongside the hurricane hunters, I'm KSNT Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Matt Miller. So, a lot of times I'm stuck in the studio when we have intense, severe thunderstorms, and so it's kind of an interesting opportunity to get to see that, but from a very interesting vantage point as well. But the really great thing about this is the research being done there. If we could lower the number of false alarms, then the meaning of the tornado warning goes up a little bit more. And so we don't want to over-warn ever, but we also don't want to under-warn ever either. So this is just kind of fine-tuning the science of what we understand about tornadoes.
Very interesting, and I'm sure it was a very bumpy ride.
It was, and you can imagine, turbulent flights, they're not fun.
He's got a weak stomach over here.
To say someone might have got a little sick.
No, I wasn't the only one, I'll just say that.